And welcome back for another episode of Beam Bites. Thank you for joining us, everybody. One of our slogans that we share and live by is the next generation of entrepreneurs begins at home. And we are happy to welcome our guest and new founding board member and founder of TutorBox, Miss LaToya Gibson. Welcome, LaToya. Thank you for joining us today. Also, I have back with us today my lovely co-host, Dr. Andrea B. Nelson, co-founder and CEO of B.E.M Education. And just to reintroduce myself, I'm Claude Trotter. I'm the Director of Technology and Communications for B.E.M Education, and be acting as your host and moderator today. Well, Miss LaToya, welcome to the show. I know
Thank
you were
you.
a little bit nervous, and like we said, this is just a conversation amongst friends. Just wanted to start out a little bit and find out a little bit about your background. How did you get to where you are today, being the entrepreneur and super mom that you are, and all that kind of stuff? Give us a little background.
Well, I was born and raised in New Orleans, and I wanted to just explore some new things in my life. So I moved to Texas. I went to University of North Texas, where I graduated with a bachelor's degree in English. I love to read. I got into teaching. Actually, Dr. Nelson was my very first principal, and a very good one. And she just taught me a lot about myself and how I just had a desire to help children. So I stayed with her for a year and taught science and social studies. And then I just decided to become a reading interventionist. And I did that for probably about 10 years until I got into more director roles in education. I started a tutoring company by just going on door to door with children I felt couldn't really afford tutoring, and I would charge a very small amount for hourly fee. Um, and I just started growing and growing all over DFW. And I think one person gave my number to the next person, and we just kind of kept growing from there until I was written into some grants for some institutions and for ISDs. From there, I decided that I wanted to expand my company and help as many kids as possible. And from there, we were under contract with several districts and several institutions and private nonprofit organizations. And that was great until COVID happened. And when COVID happened, things just got to be a little bit different. We started to see that the dilemma that we had prior to COVID, which was a literacy crisis and kids just being heavily behind in their studies, get worse. So it became a situation where we couldn't even help the thousands of kids that we were helping every year. Those numbers grew to where most kids were behind academically. During COVID, one thing that we also realized is we didn't have a system to help as many people as we wanted to. And I was literally talking to people in England and talking to people all over the world, trying to get them to create a system for me that people can jump on and take courses and have somebody explain something to them immediately. And it just didn't work. We were trying to fly a plane, or what's the term? Fly the plane where you're help me. What is it?
Dr. Nelson, jump in
Uh,
here. Help her out there.
Building the plane as you
There
are
we go.
flying it.
Yes.
Yes.
That
Now, Dr. Nelson, jump in with us here. You guys started off in the same school. She attributes you as being her first principal, and you guys working together before in the past. And you, as a reading specialist, I'm sure you can speak to what she has been discussing about how during the pandemic, especially in the reading area, kids got further behind. So let you hop in and you guys can play off of that, build upon that, and build upon what we're building together. Go right ahead, Doctor Nelson.
Well, I think what we need to do is talk about the present. So, what Miss Gibson talked about was the fact that the phenomenon that she saw is still very present, because even though we received ESSER funds, we received a lot of ESSER funds, which was money specifically put beside the pandemic. I think the issue that occurred was the fact that even though we had the extra funding, basically, I can't say that the districts that I traveled to, that I saw anything that was innovative or different to move in accelerating and closing that gap as fast as we could possibly close it. And so a lot of times what happens with anything that we do, even when we have money to do it, if we're not thinking about the clientele that we're serving, as well as if this is the structure that I've used in the past and I haven't been successful with it, why am I not changing the structure to fit the needs of the clients that I have? And so I'm sure that that was really a eye-opening event for Miss Gibson as she started working to see where the gaps were and how children, we weren't effectively serving children in the way that they needed to be served.
Yes.
And so I think, go ahead.
It was a perfect storm. So you had kids that were already behind, and we were hustling and trying to get these kids caught up. And then COVID happened, and it was the problem had ignited. It was even worse than what we had dealt with before and what any of us really was trained to do. I feel that we were unprepared, and the districts were unprepared. And a lot of what happened, I feel, in terms of not jumping in and being able to support those children, just had a lot to do with what you were talking about, Dr. Nelson. Just not.
Ms. Gibson, give us also give us a perspective from a parent's point of view as well. I mean, because you have a daughter that is in that elementary school system that we're talking about, and went from the school system to being stuck at home. And how did that affect her and you as a parent?
Well, my kiddo was only 2 years old. So for me, the only thing it affected was my meetings. So that wasn't really a problem, but I am close to the people that I serve, and that's my kiddos that I've tutored for 10 years. And for them, it wasn't bad because they had me. I had already been working with them. I was already in place on a one-on-one basis. So their parent could call me and say, hey, this is what's going on. This is what he's supposed to be working on. This is what she's behind on. So the people that knew me and I had already been servicing, didn't see any delays, problems, or had been left behind, for lack of better words. But those kids that I serve through school districts and through nonprofit organizations, those are the ones that really did suffer. And probably today, as Dr. Nelson was saying, are still suffering today, because to be able to bring a kid back up to where they are is a tremendous task. And to be able to do it after COVID is even harder, even more difficult.
But what I think, and this is just me really thinking about the structures and systems that I worked under as an educator in districts, is the fact that the system hasn't worked for a long time. You still get kids who move and they're 2 years behind, and just think of the impact that occurred when you had children who already were a year or 2 years behind, and then they sit out of school for 2 years. So for me, that is where we started thinking. And when I say we, I'm talking about the founding team of B.E.A.M Education. We really started to thinking about, what if we could create a new system of education that truly focused on the personalization and the customization of educational tracks for children. And so when you really start thinking about how different that looks, when we've been dealing with the scientific management system since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, we haven't really changed what education looks like. So with B.E.A.M education, one of our goals is that by August 2025, there will be a different choice on the landscape, because I believe all of the landscapes are important. I believe that it's a necessary function that we have public schools. I think there is a need for the charter as well as strong private schools. So I think all of those provide that 21st century choice for parents who are looking for something that really fits their child, because all children are different. And when we spend time basically making everyone be the same, we're failing as what we should be doing for human beings who, as I look at Jeremiah 29:11, that we are powerfully and wonderfully made. And so therefore, if that is the case, then we also have to be sure that we really look at each individual for their gifts and their strengths.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel programs like B.E.A.M education, if it had been in existence when COVID happened, it could have helped a lot of kids not face the deficit and losing skills um, during that time.
Excellent, excellent. So let's talk a little bit. We've talked about the challenges. Let's talk about the different solutions that both of you ladies have come up with. You guys have taken different but similar paths to address the challenge of our children being left even further behind after the pandemic. So, Miss LaToya, since you're our guest today, let's go first with you.
Yeah. So as I was saying, when COVID happened, we were trying to find a way to get the kids on, and Zoom, to me, it just wasn't. It was just this basic hop on Zoom. I don't really have any work for you. Maybe this worksheet will work. Because I was looking at some of the work that the teachers were giving out, and this certainly is not the blame game. I feel we were all unprepared, and even the ones of us who felt like they were prepared, we didn't know exactly what we were doing. None of us really were expecting this to happen. However, because of that, we just I just felt like what we were giving the kids, we weren't going to see gains, and down the line we realized that we didn't see the gains, and quite frankly we saw a lot of drop in scores across not only our state but the nation. So what I thought is, I am never ever going to be in this situation ever again, where there's something that happens and a pandemic happened and I can't reach children and continue educating them under any circumstance. So I started to brainstorm myself and research, and I came up with the concept of TutorBox. And TutorBox is a learning platform where at any moment you can hop on and access a teacher, a tutor. So if you are a parent and your child comes home right now, it's like 4 o'clock. So right now, and they say, Mom, I have a science project due tomorrow. Can you help me? And you have dinner and laundry and things to do. You don't have time. You can jump on TutorBox, find a tutor in your area, check their star rating. There already have been background check to be on the platform. So all of that has been done for you. You find someone, you ask that person, you get on their schedule, tell them you need them within the next hour. They show up by 5 o'clock. No contracts, nothing for them to sign or you to sign. They come over, help, and leave. And the good thing about it is that person stays on your profile, where if you want to hire them again, you can hire them for your student to help with more projects or just to help with science homework or tests. One thing the platform also does is courses. So one thing we are rolling out this spring is a class on Tupac Shakur. Dr. Cassandra Shepard, author and uh, speaker, is going to give a course on Tupac Shakur. So different things that I had thought are finally coming to fruition with this platform. And I think it's going to really help our kids have accessibility. I think one of the things that our kids need to be able to um, move them along is to be able to have access to instructors quickly, having access to the information quickly. One thing that the site also does is be able to have access to um, uh, AI and be able to help them look up things. And when a tutor is not available, they can look up things and be able to complete their tasks. So we're really excited that we're finally launched and we're here, and we want to start educating people all over the world.
But the one thing that I think that's very unique about what you're doing is it fits in with the 21st century.
Yeah,
A lot of times when we look at what we still have, what we're still offering, whereas you look at every other industry from business to hospitality to real estate, we have incorporated a lot of the 21st century in the work that we're doing now. However, I can't totally see that happening when I look at education. Because, yes, children do have a one to one device, but how are we using that one to one device to support children having those 21st century skills of, just as you said, how do you do a query on an AI that provides you with beneficial information that you need? You know, how do you talk to someone in France or India? All of these are the kind of things that we should be really working on, teaching kids how to collaborate, how to have critical thinking skills, how to problem solve with someone else. Because I think a lot that what we're doing, when you decided that you wanted to interview for our board, that's because we need collaboration. There are just certain projects that will never be finished unless there's a high level of quality of collaboration and people working together as a team to get things done. So I think with the box, the tutor box, that's one thing that we have the opportunity that helps our children be able to be successful. And those are the kind of programming and options and applications that we should be pushing out that support children.
absolutely. And that's and I think with Beam and with Tutorbox, we're thinking future, and we're thinking how we can get ahead of this and really tap into kids and be able to give them an opportunity to access education quickly. I think the day of we wait till tomorrow or in 2 days or next week or somebody's coming to save you. I don't know who is over. There's people here. We have people at the school. We have people online, and I think that this is revolutionary.
But I
And let me
also think,
say, let me say I'm really proud of our team and the folks we're bringing together and how we're looking to address the overall challenges of education on multifaceted fronts. As you can see, what we have up online right now are the three areas of engagement that we're focused on with Beam, and with Ms. LaToya joining us on Beam and also offering another option, another engagement point with TutorBox, just shows our viewers how committed we are to helping our community learn, helping our community not only just to get caught up, but to get back on track. So let you talk, Dr. Nelson, a few minutes about the different areas of engagement points on Beam to go along with TutorBox, if you don't mind.
okay, so we have 3 points of impact. And I think that that word impact becomes so important because so many times We will produce products, we have initiatives, we have cohorts, all these different things, but we really cannot use the data to say that it truly had the positive impact that we are looking for, that provides support to our schools and organizations, to our schools as they're being run every day, and through our communities. So we have 3 points of impact. The first point of impact is called B.E.A.M Institute. And so that's specifically us providing support to companies, to school districts, and to other nonprofits. We provide professional development training, we provide audits, and we also help you to customize a personalized professional development for your teachers that aligns specifically to your district or organization. The next one is the B.E.A.M Micro School Academy. And so the B.E.A.M Micro School Academy is our flagship school where we are able to give you some of the research that is out there, but it is now not theory, but it is truly application and synthesis level. And so through that, through being micro school, we start out with an assessment that we do with students first. And through that assessment, we not only look at academics, but we also look at their interests, what they like to learn. We also do a learning style to see how they learn. Are they more auditory? Are they more visible? What kind of learner is your scholar? And so the other thing, which we really surprised someone today when we were talking to them, because we told them that B.E.A.M Micro School Academy does not fit the traditional mode, because we have some very programs that are truly meant for the 21st century. One of those programs is our alternative arrival and dismissal time. If your child comes in at 8, they're able to leave at 3. And if your child, our other arrival time is 10 o'clock, and they will leave at 5 o'clock. But also that school is open from 7 to 7, but there is so much that I would suggest that you would attend one of the information sessions on a Thursday night. And so then the final point of impact is called B.E.A.M Lanyap, and those are community outreach programs that we offer. We offer a program where children are given the opportunity to write a 5-week business plan that they work on for 5 weeks, which is called the B.E.A.M Micro School Camp. And students come up with their plan. And in the end, once they come up with their plan, they are ready to do a pitch competition. We offer an annual pitch competition every year. We did our first one last year. The little girl who won, she won because she could tell us everything specifically about her candle company that she had. She had a wickless candle company. And so she took her grand prize and she expanded her business. So those are the 3 points of impact, because I truly feel if we're going to help students be productive citizens and our community to be aware of what's going on, the programming that we offer has to be at the highest level of 21st century innovation, creativity, and collaboration.
Well, it looks like we lost Miss Gibson there for a minute, so we will keep things going and hopefully she will, excuse me, rejoin us again accordingly. Now, on Beam and with the other programs that we're offering, if somebody is interested in being a part of the Beam Academy, what is the process that they would use to get their child registered and get things going for their child?
And so the first thing that we ask is that you attend one of our information sessions. And those information sessions are done in 3 ways. The first way is that we do information sessions on Thursday night from 7 o'clock. It only takes about 45 minutes to an hour, that session, because it's an overview of what we have to offer. From there, if you like what you hear, we suggest that you set up an interview with us, because it's very important that you totally understand that this isn't the traditional school. It's different because we have a lot of moving parts, but we want to ensure that if your child, your scholar, becomes a part of being a micro school academy, that they can move either a year to 2 years in their growth. So that becomes very important. And so, therefore, we want to make sure that we're a good fit and that you truly understand the structures and systems that we have in place. And so, once we agree that we are a very good fit, the next step is that we do the scholar inventory. And when we do the scholar inventory, as I've said previously, we specifically look at your child's skills in relationship to challenges and in relationship to their strengths. We look at interest, and we also look at their learning styles. And so then finally, we start the testing, and then we create a personalized education plan, which becomes the personalized education portfolio. And with that, Miss Gibson is back.
Yes, Miss Gibson, can you hear us? Are you with us? Are you frozen? I think she's frozen. So we're going to continue on with what we
Okay.
were discussing with the micro school. Um, and tell us a little bit about the team that you are working with. We just recently had our new board meeting. And Ms. Gibson, it looks like you're back with us now. Can you hear us yet? All right, there we go.
Either
Nothing
we
like
love technology or we hate
create
technology.
some
Well,
technical
it wasn't
difficulties for
technology's
one.
fault. It was a kid who is supposed to be doing their homework at the desk and unplugged the internet. So
Nothing like live TV, right?
oh my goodness.
Well, good to have you back. We just talked a little bit more about the intake process with B.E.A.M,
Good.
and we were going to basically talk about the other team members that you became a part of, and a little bit about the board meeting that we had this weekend to introduce everybody, get everybody going. Dr. Nelson, kind of share with us some of the team members that we have brought together with B.E.A.M Education and that are helping us start B.E.A.M Micro School Academy. We know a little bit about yourself, but start with the president of B.E.A.M Education, Mr. Brian Gelke, and share with our viewers what he brings to the table for our team.
Well, you know what? Because I really want to promote what Miss Gibson has to offer. What I will tell you about our team is the fact that the team has over 60 years of experience. You know, they range in their talent from understanding self-care and wellness and counseling to having a background in sports education to working currently as the bilingual director for a school district. Some of the board members that are on board for us range from being engineers, doctors, developers, entrepreneurs, having their own companies. So when we really looked at who would be the best fit for the company, we were looking for out of the box thinkers, people who had shown their ability to not only work within the status quo of what we have to do, but also because in their field of expertise, they were also able to be the innovators and the expert leaders in their areas of industry.
Excellent, excellent. Well, Ms. Gibson, now that we have you back with us, share with us a little bit more about your mission now that you're part of the team, both for your little one. I mean, I'm sure that's one of the major motivational factors. What are your goals? What would you like to see as being a part of the Being board, and what would you also like to see with TutorBox?
As far as Beam, one thing I'm looking forward to is Aaliyah, my daughter, having the ability to learn at her level. So if she's reading a grade level or two ahead, then her instructors will be motivating her and giving her assignments that are on her level versus her waiting in class and not doing assignments that are geared towards her test and academic level. As for TutorBox, I'm really looking forward to getting as many students and retired teachers and educators or anybody that wants to teach something, as I feel that we are all teachers and we can all teach each other different things. And that's how we're going to become a better nation. And I think we're going to be an even better world if we can all learn something from each other. So I'm really just excited to get people on, interesting people, retired teachers, teachers that just want to be able to contribute to the platform. I think it's going to be exciting, and I'm looking forward to meeting new people through the platform and seeing what they have to offer.
So one thing that I would like for you to talk about, Miss Gibson, is the fact that because so many people, they don't really realize how different being micro school will be. And so I would love for you to talk about your impression of what happened when you saw the first session presentation that showed you how different being micro school was going to be, and what were your impressions of that?
Well, I think being a Michael is completely different than anybody has really seen in terms of there's no grade levels. Kids can actually learn on their level. So even if you don't have a kid that's reading above grade level, if you have somebody that's reading below grade level but is doing math at fourth grade, they still can't. The school will meet them where they are. And I think that a lot of public schools say we'll meet our kids where we are, but I'm not sure that they're really putting the work into applying it in real life. Meeting a kid where they are is like physically handing them work that's on their level, and looking at their grades as Beam Education does, and have plans for them. And that plan changes. When I was an educator, one of my co-teachers, we would constantly look at data, multiple times a day. Sometimes, if kids are online or they turn an assignment in or take a test or take an exit ticket, we were constantly looking at data, and that's what drove us to be the #1 reading program in this entire district. So it works, and just to see that Beam is following that model and embedding it into the program is encouraging. And just some other things that I'm really excited about is the opportunity to have 2 different times where you can go to school to really allow parents to craft their schedule the way they need to. And finally, what I'm really looking forward to is the presentation day, the Fridays where they get to work on their presentations and be able to ask questions. I think some schools are presentation, they say they're presentation led, and some do it really well. But I think sometimes even in schools that say we're presentation heavy, it still falls to the wayside of some sort. But to have an assigned day lets me know that Beam Education is serious about having kids work on their presentations, work on their projects, explore and research. So all in all, I'm really just excited about the school and the program, and I feel like the kids that are being it are going to be lucky.
Dr. Nelson, anything to add to that?
Well, I think she brought out a very valid point when she started talking about if you have, because I'll be honest, as a child, even though I have the doctor in front of my name, my issue for me as a child was always math. So I was excelling in reading, science. I love science. I love social studies, but math was always the subject that brought me down. So if I could have been at a place where I didn't feel like all of my self-esteem was blown out of the way because teachers go like, well, you do really good in reading and you do so well in this. Why aren't you doing excelling in math? And so, because I'm a human being and I have different gifts and talents, and so therefore, both of them need to be built up. My strength is the thing that built my self confidence and my who I am up. And so, as someone would help, if someone had helped me more on the math, I wouldn't have felt defeated when it was time for that math book to come out every day. And so that is the goal. Not only that we support children in what their weakness or where their challenge lie, because I would much rather use the word challenge over weakness, but their challenges lie, and then really pump them up on where their strengths are so that they continue to keep that strength moving in the right way. And eventually the challenge becomes their strength, because that is what we should be doing for all children. So I like that she brought that point out because I think that's huge. You know, we think how many times in regular school we never even talk to kids about what they're strong at. And so that is key to really getting kids to really push their creativity, giving them voice, is that they have a very strong awareness of what they're good at and what they have to work on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Excellent, excellent. We hear a lot of talk in today's current news format about some of the challenges that teachers and schools are facing, from looking at uh, outlawing everyday technology like cell phones, and also dealing with different issues from maybe the chemicals in some of the foods we eat to causing disciplinary problems. How have you both addressed those issues and what you've seen in the past in your educational classroom experience? And how will uh, Beam and Beam Academy and TutorBox kind of address some of those issues on those different platforms?
Well, I think for me, technology is going to be the main source for a tutor box. You're going to need a computer, a cell phone, iPad, or something of some sort. So we are welcoming it. We are encouraging it. If a student needs to look up an answer and they want to check Chat GTP, check it. If they're going to give you the answer, getting the answer is not the problem. We need to teach our kids how to remember the answer and how to apply the answer. And that's really what we want to do at TutorBox. Being able to have access to answers is normal. I feel it should be normalized. What we need to do is really teach our kids how to use those answers and how to apply it, and that's what we're gonna do at TutorBox.
And Dr. Nelson, that same question to you. How are you addressing the technology issues and the issues of keeping the children focused and active
I,
instead of disruptive, shall we say?
well, you know what? I think because the structure has to be totally different than what we've used in the past. And so I think when you really, if you were one and you really did an information session as well as you set up an interview, you would find out how differently we're doing things differently. One of the things that we're doing is that students will know immediately all of the standards they have to master, and they're done in I can statements. And so they'll be able to really look and see, oh, I've accomplished this and I've accomplished this. The other thing that is huge that I want people to really think about is in the traditional school, when you look at micro school scheduling, there isn't a specific time that really is used to really coach kids, to conference with students. You have to figure out how to break that up during your day. You have to figure out which kids am I going to take that need to be tutoring tutor? Do I take my highest kids on one day and do I tutor my maybe tier 3 kids, which are the kids who have a lot of struggles? Do I tutor them every day? What I want you to think about with being micro school, and you had it up for a second, is the P cubed. The P cubed is our session that lasts for 2 hours. Now, what I want you to think about with those 2 hours, in that PQ prep, propel, empower session, children have the opportunity not once a week, not 2 times a week, but every day, based on their personalized education portfolios, they have an opportunity for acceleration on what their strength is, intervention on what their challenge is, the opportunity to talk about how well they're achieving their goals, how well they're achieving their product, but also a time to motivate and encourage students to move in the path that we want them to. So I think that alone is a huge trajectory to changing some of the kind of negative behaviors and stereotypes that we have about school.
Excellent, excellent. And how are both of you guys, like you said, you're embracing technology. How are you embracing and working with the entire ecosystem, with the families, the extended families, the communities? How do you bring all of those parts of the ecosystem together to benefit the child?
Well, I think for us, we are giving people access to each other, definitely in a safe way and in a safe space. But I think because of social media and technology, we've kind of gotten apart from each other instead of coming closer to each other. So, TutorBox is a community app. It's a community uh, program platform where people can come together and learn together, do take classes together, learn how to cook together, or take a class on music, Tupac, or simply just take a public speaking class from a journalist, possibly. So I think that's how we're going to bring people together through this platform.
Excellent. And Dr. Nelson, the same question for you.
You know what? I cannot say it any more concise than what Dr. Dr. Gibson. I'm calling you Dr.
You got promoted. Check that out. We need to do some more shows.
I didn't know joining the board, I'd become doctor.
Right.
But what Miss Gibson is what she's saying is true. I think everything that she just talked about, from courses that families can take to having those opportunities to fellowship in very authentic manners. I think because previously we did a lot of those things very superficially. And so therefore, we bring parents in for this one activity, but just imagine parents knowing that every 6 weeks they have to come and listen to a showcase presentation about their child on what they learned. Just think if parents could come in, because I believe the power also occurs when children see their parents in the school with teachers, because that's the true interdependence piece of families working in concord in conjunction with each other to make sure that child has a very memorable education. Because the one thing that I can say about school, and even though I am a product of public schools, the schools that I went to were very, very solicitous into providing support for their children. And so I think that's why my mother ended up with a doctorate from Baylor and an MBA from Harvard, is because of that grounded first foundational experiences we had with education and the people who taught us.
Excellent. Well, as we get ready to sign off for today, I did want to share with our viewers that if you like the show that you've seen here today and say, hey, I'd like to find out what other shows they have, we have updated our website so that we have our collection of past Beam Bites available for you guys to come back and join us at any time. And recap anything that you might have missed. We do try to feature an entrepreneur and their educational path and journey to their entrepreneurship every Wednesdays at noon. We try to pre-record it, but we do have live sessions. We do invite you to uh, email us any questions you might have. We also invite you to join us on Thursday evenings. I think in the month of April, we're going to do it on Tuesday evenings. And we're also looking to do live information sessions out in the community. So at any point, if you would like to send us an invite to come to your church or your community center, or even if you have a big enough home and want to invite your friends and the members of your community by. We want to come out in the community. We want to be a part of the community. We want to, and we want to be a part of your family. So, in saying that, ladies, any final words as we get ready to sign off for today?
Just thank you for having me. It was a great conversation, and I'm looking forward to working with you and possibly joining forces somehow and can fit into the program that you guys have.
Great. Dr. Nelson, what about yourself?
I just would like to finish with the quote that you have up there. The next generation of entrepreneurs begins at home. And I want everybody to think about the fact that entrepreneurship is not always about business. It's about the skill set that you walk away with. It's about being resilient. It's about being able to pull yourself up from your bootstraps when something doesn't always go your way, but you create and you magnify and you produce for the world. And so I will end this conversation by saying the next generation of entrepreneurs begin at home.
And with that, thank you everybody for joining us. And until next time, we will see